Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and recently I got a bunch of beads from Jesse James Beads, but I think I'm going to use the orange bell pepper to make a small hook bookmark with a little dragon charm on the end. So let's turn down and we'll work on that. Okay, now that I've pulled the tape off of our mix, let's open her up and see what we have in here that we might want to use on this bookmark. So I'm thinking these little cubes. We're going to put this little dragon down on the bottom, and oh, look at this nice big metal one. Maybe we'll use that as the middle focal piece. There's some really pretty beads in here, so let's move these. Maybe our little lotus. And I think this one, if I can find another, there we go. And then the crystal spacers and the little orange. So there we go. And that's about the length we want it to be. So let's put the rest of the beads back into our little case. I'm wondering if instead of one of these beads we want to put these like coppery colored pearls in instead. We'll give it a little thought here, and we'll see what it looks like if we switch one of the beads out to that bead. I still think I'm going to leave this one in, so if I switch one, it's going to be this one here. I actually think that gives it a little more definition. So let's do that. We'll switch the to this coppery colored pearl. So now what we need to do, since we've got all of our beads out, is to get some beading wire and some crimps out, and we'll put this thing together. I've got 2 crimp beads out, and I've got some SoftFlex Medium Beading wire. Now this is one I got at a live sale because I think its color was slightly off, though I think this is probably citrine, and I really like this color and I don't have any more, so I'm going to have to check their website, see if there's any left, and order me some if there is. But we'll cut a little bit off of this. We don't need much, just enough to go up and down, and plus another extra inch or 2 on either side, so we have plenty of room for wrapping it. So let's see how much I actually cut. Looks like I have about 7 inches. So the first thing we want to do is put this little dragon charm on the end. So we'll wrap him through and put our crimp tube on. These are 2x2 crimp tubes. These are SoftFlex crimp tubes. I do occasionally use Beadalon or Beadsmith crimp tubes, but I don't use any of the really cheap ones. They will break when you use the magical crimpers if you use a cheap one. So this is a magical crimper. It's got a divot in the middle. So you just put the tube in the middle of the divot and squish down. Turn it and squish again. And you keep doing that till it no longer squishes. And I think we're at that point right now. So then give it a tug test. It feels great. So then just feed your beads on and your pattern you have decided on. Now here's the first thing. You want to see if these beads will go through here twice, and they will on this one at least. Okay, there we go. All these crackles, it's sort of hard to find the hole in this little cube bead, but we managed it. Okay, now that we have all those on, we'll put our crimp bead tube on this side. Now, as you can see, I have more wire than I needed. I could have done without like about another inch, so 6 inches would have been fine. Let's see if this is going to hang about where I want it to. Yeah, it could be a little longer, but I like it like that, so we're going to just leave it that length. Though, if you wanted it a little longer, which I usually do, actually I do want it a little longer, so let's see if we can find another bead to put in here. So that we have a little bit more here. Or we could just change the lotus out for this bead and it would make it a little longer. But let's see what we got. Not really wanting, well, we'll see. A couple of copper bead caps here. Maybe we'll put this guy back inside here. But right here. See, got one here and the copper bead cap. So here we go. So this will be the beads we need to add that extra length I want here. I like these tiny little bright orange ones. I'm going to have to think of what I want to use those for. So we'll just pull this back off to the point where we want to put our new bead on, which is right here. And I'm going to put the bead cap facing the coppery pearl, like so. Then we'll put the new crystal bead there and back up on up the line like we were before until we get to the other spot where we need to add the other beads at. Which is right here. And our crimp bead back in place, or tube I should say. Oh, I left out a couple of little beads. I'm going to put those away. Okay, now it's more of the length that I like. I like the bead strand to come almost down to the end of the, or at the end of our hook. You don't have to make it that long if you don't want to. This is a personal preference kind of thing. I know some people only put 1 or 2 beads on their hook, and that's fine. You do what you feel you wish to do. So the next thing I need to do is hook this onto the bookmark. Now I don't always hook directly to this hole. A lot of times I'll put a jump ring in here, and so I'm going to get me an oval jump ring and we will put that on an oval jump ring. I'm using a medium-sized oval jump ring. It has, let's see if I can get it, the split here on the side. That way, I like the oval because unlike the round tends to roll your split around to the bottom quite frequently because of gravity, of course. And then if you've got even an opening and you've got something thin at the end there, it can work its way out. I have had that happen to me before when I still used round jump rings a lot. So I've switched to the oval because that split was right here on the side. That way the weight goes to the top and the bottom, not to where the split is at. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to, because it's a royal pain sometimes to put this onto the right onto the hook when we're trying to do this part, I am going to simply hook it up with the jump ring in, giving us our space there that we need. And that in that way, I'm not fighting with the hook as I'm trying to do this portion. So we're feeding through the beads, and then we're going to get this to the spot where we want it, which looks pretty good right there. And then we're going to crimp this, just like we did the other side. We're going to get that crimp tube right in the middle of the divot and squish. Then we'll turn it, and we'll continue doing our squishes until we've got it the way we want it. Come here. So now, as I said on the other side, you continue to squish our little bead, or our tube, as the case may be. Actually, it has to be a tube. This will not work with a bead until we are no longer squishing. Then we'll give it a tug test. It feels good. And we'll cut this excess wire off. Now that that's cut off, we're at our last stage, and that is to just open this jump ring up and put it onto our hook. So we'll just take hold of our jump ring, get our opening to the top, use 2 pliers, and with a twisting motion open that up, and then we're going to feed it into our hook. There she goes, and then we'll close her back up. Oh, come on. Okay, that needs to go over just a hair's breadth more, I can see. Now take a good look at your hook, your jump ring, make sure it's closed up well. And if so, you're finished. Isn't that pretty? There she is, all done. Pretty little dragon and bell pepper, orange bell pepper mini mix from Jesse James Beads. So anyway, here is our bookmark all finished with using our little dragon charm and our orange bell pepper mini mix from Jesse James Beads. Isn't that cute? I really think it's pretty. And I hope you enjoyed making this with me. We'll see you again next time. It's been Rose from In Rose's Garden.